Look, it's almost time.
1 minute.
He was like, you need to go now. And I was like, no, don't make me do that. He's like,
Meniscus.
I had the meniscus for lunch.
Some days I just wake up hoping I'll hear that word, and it's a treat when I do.
They may have knocked the camera. Which camera? Bench. Bench. Rory's no longer 30 seconds.
bench. Jolene can do it. Jolene's going in.
You go fix the bench?
What do we need done? Oops. I think someone just toppled. Which camera?
15. A little more. Perfect.
Yay, Jolene! To the rescue! Jolene to the rescue!
That was thrilling.
Jolene to the rescue!
All right, settling, please.
That's too easy. Dolly Parton.
Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, you'll find a friend to care.
Woo! I am your lovely friend who cares, Louise Palenker. We are here with Our Place Out Loud, and we have a panel of wonderful teens. We've got a boatload of teens. Too bad there's no boat to accompany these. Oh, it's silliness. We've got Maddie, Kimute, Ryan, Olivia in shades. Not exactly. Hey. We've got Montana, Austin, Rory, and we have our musical director, Rob Iceman Eisenberg.
Hey, everybody.
Do you have a theme song for yourself? You should write that for next week.
I should, but it would be
yes.
so full of compliments, it might not fit into the show.
It's a conundrum, and we have our in-studio guest, the very special, my hero, my writing hero, Steve O'Donnell. Everybody. And so I hope I don't oversell this and put too much pressure upon his poor dear sweetheart, but he is the funniest man on the planet. So if I oversold that, please write to me later, and I will redeem your coupon for a free funny man in a purchase to be named later.
You did not mention which planet you were referring to. So there's a little wiggle room there.
How
Could
about
be Mercury.
every planet? Could be any planet, even in other galaxies. Right, Jake? How many galaxies are there, Jake? He doesn't have a mic. Okay. So Steve O'Donnell is here, and I put in just off the top of my head some of your credits, but I may have missed some of the more important ones or some of the ones that are more dear to your heart. For example, Steve O'Donnell is the original head writer for David Letterman, created the top 10 list. Go ahead, intervene.
Well, already there's grievous mistakes.
What did I do wrong now?
The original head writer on the Late Night with David Letterman show was Meryl Marco.
Oh, Meryl
a very prolific, funny woman who actually is the funniest person on the planet.
She may be. And could you put a bid in for me? I would like to become her best friend.
She's very personable.
Where do I apply?
Motor over.
Facebook?
No, she's she has her own website, and
Okay.
she is very encouraging to writers of every kind, and she's been especially encouraging to women writers, though she'd probably make a face at that because I think she doesn't think of them as a separate...
Well, I was more thinking of just going to Starbucks and sitting and talking about people we know in common. Would she be...
I wonder if she'd go to Starbucks.
All
She's
right.
almost too artistic and discriminating for that.
So
But
she'd go to Coffee Bean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get one
Maybe
of those individualized
intelligentsia.
coffee brewing... yeah.
Visiting her website is worthwhile anyway.
I will.
She
I love her.
She has a great a Quick Draw McGraw cartoon dubbed as if it were a German existential film.
She's not going to accept my application. She's too smart for me. So, David Letterman, but you did invent the top 10 list, and you were the head writer for how many years?
A decade.
A decade. So,
Yeah.
top 10 years at which you worked for Letterman.
Yes.
Could be one of the lists.
I do things in 10. I'm one of 10 brothers and sisters.
That's right, you are.
Yeah.
And you're the baby.
Yes, my twin brother and I. There were 5 brothers, 5 sisters, 5 left-handed, 5 right-handed, 5 fair-eyed, and 5 dark-eyed.
So tell me about your mom and dad then. Is one of your moms dark-eyed and one of your dads fair-eyed?
Well, one of my dads is fair-eyed, yes. My dad is was a very respectable Irish-American with blue eyes. My mom was Slovenian, which is like Slovak, with brown eyes. So I have siblings who've passed for Italian.
Really? And then you
Would I lie about something that boring?
I don't think. I hope he wouldn't. But this is a true story. When my friend Melinda and I came to New York to meet you because I wanted to get a job writing for Late Night with David Letterman or whatever it was called in those days.
That was it.
We were waiting in the line with the VIPs because you gave me VIP tickets, and we were standing with your mom, your dad, and your brother Mark.
Well, what a group. But
Yep.
still, only a tiny fraction of our household.
I know, it was just a
Barely
small percentage.
represents 20%.
So I have
Is that
no
right?
idea
I
what
know
other
Jake
siblings.
knows math.
Oh, yeah, let's ask the math expert how we did on that. But yes, not being brave on my own, Melinda said, talk to them. We could tell it was your brother because he's your twin brother.
Right, we look alike.
So we did talk to them, and I apologize for that. You can pass that on. I'm sorry, because they probably just wanted to talk to each other and stand in line like a family. But I intervened.
No, I think they occasionally enjoy speaking with people they're not related to. Not
But there's
often.
so many people in the family. Why would they need to?
Well, they certainly didn't socialize much. I never had a babysitter. My parents didn't really have friends over. I think there was kind of a self-enclosed civilization there with just the family.
I knew that about the O'Donnells. I wasn't going to say it. I'm glad that you.
That's why none of us have social skills.
Bold statement. So you went on to write for Jimmy Kimmel Live,
Yes.
Seinfeld, The Simpsons, and
Yes.
many other fine and hilarious shows.
Yes.
And all the top 10 list books, which you can purchase, and they're very funny. Is everyone familiar with the top 10
I think you'd
list?
have to go on Amazon and buy them used because they're now antique. I think books themselves are approaching
Have you kids heard of books?
obsolescence.
Has anyone seen a book? So does anyone have any questions for Steve O'Donnell about writing, the craft of writing Kiyomute?
What would you say your favorite show was to write, and why?
Well, most exciting for me was the first job I had, which was Letterman, and that was a combination of things. For me, it was like it was truly engaging and exciting because we put a new show on every night, and it also came on after midnight. And I don't know how you feel about your show here, but sometimes you feel like when it's not too big or too important a thing, you can be freer. Mm-hmm. And I think we felt like we could be free. Plus, the idea of when I got hired for the job, I would have paid them. I wouldn't have been able to pay them for very long, but I was and I hope you all get to have that satisfaction of doing something you like and then getting a paycheck for it. So I really did like that one the best, and I really did enjoy working with Letterman just because he's a very entertaining person. Again, largely because it was the very first one and very thrilling. I've had a great time with Kimmel as well, who I think reminds me a lot of Dave. And indeed, he kind of modeled his whole career on Letterman's. I'm sure his hiring me was in a way like, well, I can get a leftover from Dave.
No, I know he was a fanboy because you told me that story of how tell
I
the
met him
story.
in high
It's very
school.
cute.
I met Kimmel when he was your age. We did a week of shows in Las Vegas, Nevada, where Kimmel grew up and went to high school, and he was such a Letterman fan. He came to every single show that we did, and he recognized all the writers. When a fan recognizes the writers on a show, you know you're dealing with a borderline psychopath. and at the end of the week's run, he asked if he could get let around backstage, which ordinarily I would have thought terrible idea, but I saw that he was a loyal fan and that he had a nice vibe about him. So I took him around. I showed him around backstage. He met Paul Shaver. He met Chris Elliott. He seemed so delighted and giggly. Oh, he had a pal with him who now is the band leader on his show, Cleto Escobedo. So
Wow.
wasn't
And
that
I
nice?
have a similar story. I did not grow up to become Jimmy Kimmel, but I did get led around backstage by you.
We do a lot of leading around. It's
Yeah.
like we're Sherpas.
I think the philosophy might be like if you just keep walking, eventually you'll walk her back out. And
Yes.
God bless you,
it's-
that's exactly
And
what you
down
did.
this hallway is the exit.
Especially if it's frog walking. Do people still use that term?
No.
To get frog walked out. It's where you get two sort of goons to kind of grab somebody and just by their own force of their motion forces the people's legs to move and gets into the door. Then they give them the bum's rush.
The bums
The
rush.
bum's rush, frog walking. We better proceed.
Yeah. All right. So we've got some kids here that are very entertaining and very, very creative. And interested in possibly careers in show business. And if any of the listeners have career aspirations in the writing or creative variety, please give us a call at 888-531-7171. And Jake, please encourage people in the chat room to call, because your money is good here. We will sell you anything, and we only have 3 left, so call now. Maybe if we just say that often, that there's only 3 left, because it works on QVC, right? And really, they've got
for a
whole
limited
vault.
time only.
There's a vault of whatever they only have 3 left of. I'm convinced of it. Olivia, you look very Hollywood today. What's that story you were telling about how the Man Show was filmed in your backyard?
I was like 3 or 4, and I just was, I think, the pilot for the Man Show.
Oh, okay.
And they cleared out my whole house, and should I stop talking? I'm gonna keep talking. So they cleared out my whole house, and then just a whole bunch of people got in my pool, and then across the street they had the trampoline with the girls, and then I went on the trampoline with the girls, but I was 4, so it wasn't the same.
I hope the statute of limitations has run out on that kind of child abuse.
Well, yeah, it to me, it sounds rather unseemly to have a small child learning how to devalue herself in this fashion, but you seem to be just fine.
Yeah, I think
So, yeah, I think you're absolutely fine.
Except for the hysterical loss of sight. Right about age 4.
All right, so does anyone else have any questions for Steve O'Donnell? Maybe the phone will ring. Oh, look, it's young Austin with his hand up.
So when you're writing for shows like Seinfeld or The Simpsons, where you didn't create the characters yourself, like what's going through your mind in that process?
Well, on both The Simpsons and Seinfeld, I should assert I was not a pillar of those organizations. I was more like a shingle. I wrote 2 episodes, sort of, for each of those shows, and was contributed to a couple of others. It's a challenge both ways. When you create characters, in some ways it's easier, and in some way it's harder because you have to conform to certain expectations. I certainly made rookie mistakes at Simpsons. For example, you never write the word "dough" in a script. That's never written anywhere. They just say Homer makes an exasperated sound. So I bumbled and fumbled left and right. But I would say that writing is not so different from any, not just any other creative endeavor, but anything you would do in life at all. You want to bring something to it that's different and distinctive and yourself, but also be of service, which also means sometimes conforming to hopes and dreams and expectations of a fan base. I found Seinfeld to be very different because I went right from Letterman to Seinfeld. At Letterman, we never did anything longer than a couple sentences. Most jokes were monologue-type jokes, and many of the bits that we'd write, if they were a viewer mail bit or a sketch backstage, they'd only be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sentences. At Seinfeld, we were making half hours that were so intricate. They were like these interlocking Chinese puzzles where Elaine's story had to ultimately affect, George's story, and Kramer's story had a bisect with Jerry's, and it was really it was like going to the Sorbonne of half-hour plot line making. So I went from gags to like a full plot and story, and I felt very, very lucky to be among people who were really good at it.
Did you use any artificial intelligence in order to...
Not only did I not, but almost no one on the show even used a laptop or a computer.
Really?
Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld at that time would occasionally jot things down on yellow pads, but mostly they had, assistants that would just jot down what they were saying while they were saying it, kind of like a court reporter.
Just walking behind them like on the West Wing.
Yeah, kind of.
Writing as they talked out loud.
Yeah,
I love it.
A little
We've
bit,
got a
sort
phone
of,
call.
yep.
Hello, who's there?
Hello.
Hello. Who have we?
It's Mrs. Jordan Chris Colfer. Again.
Hi, how are you? Do you have a question for Steve O'Donnell?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed.
Steve.
Hello.
Hello. Where do you get your inspiration for everything? Where do you get your inspiration?
I've found if I go to the library,
He has a picture of me up on his desk.
that would be a spur of one kind. No, I was going to say I just check out library books that haven't been checked out in a long time and copy things out word for word. And so far, nobody's
caught on. Huh.
I think it's from your life. You know, I think there are writers who are inspired by other writers or by other media. You meet a lot of joke writers who write things that sound like what they've heard on other shows. And then there are people that actually have some sort of life. I don't know that I was exactly either one of those, but you do want to kind of mix it up. And you do see things as you walk around. You go, well, that is crazy, or that is odd. And hopefully it will be some rich mixture that isn't all media-based, that isn't all about TV commercials or websites or trolling or whatever else is on your mind.
And sometimes the things that are currently annoying, irritating, troubling, hurtful, etc., what have you, can be the best sort of fuel or, you know, the best ingredients for writing. And it also helps you get through that painful moment thinking, you know, this is actually going to be funny in a couple of days.
Yeah, we've been talking about Jerry Seinfeld. He seemed like he was the supreme observational comic about, you know, whether it was laundry or coffee or whatever he'd be talking about, it just something drawn from life. Though his was a fairly sunny take on it. Yet he was partnered with Larry David, who had an extremely dark and skeptical take on things. So there's a lot of ways to approach it. But the main thing is to complain. I think complaining and fetching seems
really
to be
key.
at the heart. Yeah.
Sure. And Iceman is inspired by you, and I guess fueled by the news that you were going to be on the show, he went immediately into composer mode.
I went ballistic because I had 2 minutes to write it.
And I give you Iceman with his tribute to Steve O'Donnell.
Just a little musical tribute. Steve O'Donnell wrote for Kimmel and for Seinfeld and The Simpsons. I can't believe I'm in the same room with him. And that's the truth, buddy.
Bravo.
You know, if this were a telethon, the phones would be lighting up to help those kids.
Yes, they would.
That is beautiful. At first, I thought you might be going in a kind of hallelujah chorus. And then for a minute, it sounded a little like Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. And then I realized it was totally original.
It turned into the Roto-Rooter theme, which is odd.
We are Our Place Out Loud. I am your lovely and captivating host, Louise Palenker, and we are on the phone with Mrs. Jordan Chris Colfer. And while I have you on the phone with such a screen name as you have in the app, let's take a moment to say a prayer for young Corey Monteith, who lost his life this week in a very tragic way. And I'm sorry for you. I know you're a Glee fan based on your screen name, and I'm very, very sorry. What a tragic loss of a talented young man. Thank you so much for calling, Mrs. Jordan Chris Colfer. And today's a good day because you got to speak to Steve O'Donnell.
Exactly.
And now go Google him and get yourself inspired. We are at 888-531-7171. Let's dive into questions. So it's summer, and a lot of kids who come from divorced families are traveling hither and yon, and I've never really been able to determine the difference between hither and yon, other than hither seems to be some place you go to before you go to yon. But a lot of kids have parents, you know, kind of spread out, and it's very jarring and unsettling for kids to have to leave one parent behind and go visit another parent during the summer. So we seem to be getting
Wheezy?
Yes.
I know you have a one convo rule. But
yeah.
I was going to just interject that
you
left out thither.
Oh, so
you got hither and you got yon.
And then what happens?
You neglected thither.
But when do you go there?
Well, en route to yon.
I thought that was a stringed instrument.
That's
well,
a stringed instruments when pronounced by Sylvester the cat.
But what if you have a direct flight? Then you may not have to stop.
Oh, thither is flyover is what you're saying. I got you. All right. Well, you're a typical Hollywood person then.
Okay. All right. So who wants to read a letter? You kids need to do some talking. Ryan, please read the letters. Please read the first letter.
You know you can always count on me to talk, Wheezy.
I can.
All right. Hey, Wheezy. I'm feeling a little sad because I just got back with my mom because my dad had me for most of the summer, and I miss him so much, and I don't know what to tell my mom. So could you please help me?
So here's the thing. So let's say you miss your dad, but the last person you're going to tell is your mom because maybe your mom doesn't want you to miss your dad. And the thing that I want you kids to remember from divorced parents is that you get to love both of your parents. And just because they may not love each other as much as they used to, a kid who has parents who are together gets to love both of his parents equally. Why shouldn't a kid from divorced parents get to love each of the parents equally without feeling any guilt regarding it? And maybe your mother isn't the right person to tell that you miss your dad. If she has a history of dissolving into a puddle of tears every time you mention your dad, then yeah, maybe you can't go to her and say, "I'm just feeling sad because I miss Dad." But there's got to be someone else you can say that to, and you get to miss him. Go ahead, Ryan.
I think a lot of times even friends who can't always relate to your scenario can be a great person to talk to, just because personally I've talked to a lot of friends about my parents, even though their parents aren't divorced, and it's just a great, just because you know that person won't judge you for what you're feeling or thinking, it's easy to just open up to them, and they don't have to understand the feelings, they just have to be able to listen. It's nice. That's all you need is just someone to listen. So I would just find a friend who's close to you and talk to them about it.
Rory, another successful child of divorce. Wow, we're really.
Oh man, this is long. I don't know how successful. I guess. Yeah. All right, I feel like a rock
Just swing
star.
it stand-up
Elton
style.
Brand. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, a great person too. I mean, I'm sure if you called your dad and told him that, I'm sure that would make him feel pretty good because I'm sure he's missing you just as much. And, it's tough going back and forth, but it's a routine. And, after a few days, I think it'd feel a lot better. But calling your dad and telling him, probably a good thing, too.
And also, let's take guilt out of the equation. If you're happy with your mom, don't feel guilty about not being with your dad. And vice versa. And if you're sad without your dad, don't feel guilty about not being happy with your mom. Just feel what you're feeling and don't judge it, or just guilt doesn't need to be part of any of this. You're not the one who asked for the divorce. You just kind of caught up in this, and it sucks, but you get to love both parents without apology. That's next letter will be read by Keo. Hey Bear.
Grab that mic.
Okay, from Hey Bear. Hi Wheezy. I'm sort of new to this app. I live in Canada. My dad lives on one side and my mom lives on the other. I am out visiting my father on a trip for a month, and the time has been flying by so quickly I can't believe it. But the closer I get from leaving, the more I think about it, about the heartbreak I got last year from it. I left my dad, and when I got on the plane, I was crying. It was so hard on me. I'm 10 times more afraid to do it again. What should I do? I need any advice you can give me.
So now we've come to the fear of fear, or the fear of a sense of loss that's ruining the time that you do have. Just being ripped apart this way. And I say start discussing it with your dad right now. He may be afraid to bring it up because he remembers how hard it was last year, so he's not wanting to ruin the fun you're having. But go ahead and start talking about it now. You're already writing about it, so it's on your mind to say, how do we mitigate this? How do we Skype more often? How do we meet in the middle more often? How do we not have to be separated for so long? Please help me with this. Who has a thought? I see a hand up. Austin?
Yeah, Skype is the key word there. I think if she sets up some times to Skype and asks when he's generally available, then I think a lot of the weight would get off her shoulders just from that.
Yeah, and and just let your dad know, this is really, really hard for me, and I have so much fun when I'm with you. So there's got to be a way for us to see each other more often, because it's your parents' job to help you. And parents living on opposite sides of a continent, not a big fan of that. I don't know why that has to happen. Sometimes career-wise, it has to happen. Go ahead, Olivia.
Well, I mean, this wasn't really a divorce story, but last summer I spent, 5 weeks with my best friends, and then we all live in different parts of the country, and we've been able to keep our friendship and whatnot just by Skyping and texting, and it's possible that you can talk to your dad every day. You just have to make the time.
Yeah, make him an active part of your life, and you won't feel a sense of loss. Montana?
Is there a way that maybe in the middle of when you're meeting with your mom, when you're meeting with your mom, would she let you go see your dad maybe at some point, or maybe he could come take a trip if he has to travel around for work or whatever?
So it's not just summers; it's more often than that, right?
Or calling people.
Yeah.
I believe I've talked about it before on the show, but I was at boarding school for the end of 7th and 8th grade, or for the end of 7th and then through 8th grade, and I didn't get to see my parents all that often. And it was especially hard because my parents were divorced, and so I would have to alternate who I saw, because if they would come out to visit me, it was uncomfortable to have them both there for all of us, including them. And part of it was that, I called them once a week, and that definitely made it a lot easier. But also part of it was just hard that it was just hard stuff that I had to find ways to take my mind off of, because it wasn't always that solvable, because there isn't always a simple solution. And so I talked to them once a week, and other than that, I found things that interested me, like playing football with my friends, and I went and did that, and I wasn't thinking about that I wasn't with my dad. And when I was with him, I was enjoying all the time I spent with him, and same for my mom.
Q?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said, and I would definitely talk to my dad like right now and say, I'm gonna miss you so much when I have to go. I don't wanna go. Like, talk to him and everything. It'll make it feel easier, because right now it's kind of like you're trying to ignore the fact that you're gonna have to leave, but you're not really doing a good job.
Yeah, it's looming on the horizon,
Yeah.
so it's like this giant thing.
And
that's probably actually feels scarier than it's actually going to be when it happens.
Yeah. And I would say once you're away from him and everything, the thing that causes all the sadness is when you're thinking back about fun things that you've done and then thinking, oh, I can't do that, or like, I want to do that now. But try and change your perspective and think, I'm so glad that we got to do that. I'm so glad that happened.
And it was a blessing.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Thank you. Olivia, would you read the question from Potatoes? Okay. That's how she says it. That's fine.
Okay. I feel like my dad doesn't care about me. My parents are divorced, and my mom has custody. Often my dad says that he has to work and can't take me and my 10-year-old brother on his weekends, but I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I see his posts about going out to bars and stuff with my stepmom when he's supposed to have us. I've tried to bring it up, but he accused me of making stuff up, and then said my mom is trying to make me take her side by telling me lies about him. My stepmom even says that my dad does everything he can for us, and that I need to stop being an ungrateful curse word. All I want to do is for him to spend time with us. I don't know what to do. Every time my mom tells me he's not taking his weekend, I want to cry because it hurts me and my brother both.
That is tragic. She's got a father who's just very unevolved, and to the point where he's willing to be married to a person who would say such a thing to a child. It's all quite shocking. But I think that one of the things that we have to do as we go from being 10 to 12 to 14 to 16 to 18 is to recognize who our parents are and not expect them to change a ton. And sadly, this is your dad. He's that guy. And you continuing to expect something that you're not going to get is going to set yourself up for repeated disappointment. And you have so many blessings in your life. You've got a great mom who seems to be doing a wonderful job of not saying anything negative about your father to you. You've got a little brother who adores you. You've got a lot of love. You're not going to maybe find it through your dad and your stepmom. And so following him on Facebook and watching him do fun stuff without you is just tragic, but stop. Lots of hands are going up. Olivia.
Well, my best friend from growing up, her father's very similar to this, if not a little worse, a lot worse. He's a bad guy. And, she just had to realize, and we were like 12 when she just said, like, this isn't my fault and it's not my mom's fault. This is who he is. And it sucks, but there are a ton of other people in your life who are going to love you and appreciate you for who you are. And it's unfortunate that someone who is supposed to do that unconditionally isn't, but that's his loss, and you have to remember that.
It definitely is his loss, right?
I was just going to say that while I partly agree with what you're saying about, sometimes you just have to accept that that's who people are. The amount of people I've been around who had really struggled with a lot of hard things, especially like in this example, my dad, who had some really severe anger management issues when I was little, I had been told, like, just to come to a conclusion that that's who he was and how I could work around it. And, and he put in the effort to get that solved. So not everyone will want to put in the effort to change things, but if you can work with your dad, and like you said, you tried and it's hard to do, but if you keep pursuing it and bringing it up in different ways, that one of which may get to him, he might make an effort to change. Now, is he going to change all the way and never go out rather than spend the time with you guys? No, but you might get to spend a little more time with him if you can convince him the right way. If you can talk to him about, that even though your mom has custody, he's your dad and you still love him and you miss him. I think that a lot of parents will respond to that, even if on the surface it doesn't seem like they will.
And, also rise above it all, because the one thing that you said that you want is time with him, and the one thing that his wife is accusing you of is being an ungrateful little B word. If you just continuously say, Dad, I just want to spend time with you. Don't ask for any material things. Just ask for him. And nobody can accuse you of being anything other than a kid who wants to spend time with their dad, which is human.
And don't listen to your stepmom. I mean, that's just that's just a whole nother level. I mean, just ignore that.
It's got to be white noise. I mean, I know it hurts whenever someone says something that isn't true and that's mean, but and especially since your dad chose this person, and he seems to be allowing her to speak that way to his own child. It's super hard to ignore, but yeah,
and
it just makes her look like an idiot.
If he doesn't know, tell him though that she's saying that. But I assume
that's a hard
he knows.
place to put yourself in, though. Like
but you gotta
tattling on your stepmom.
You got to do it.
Rory, yeah, be careful. Yeah. Step carefully. One mic for.
One mic.
Yeah.
6 people.
One mic will rule them all.
Yeah, I mean, it just sucks at the end of the day. And your dad, as much as it sucks to hear, is a really immature person, and hopefully one day he'll change and grow up, but it's definitely not your fault at all. And I have a friend too whose dad is like that and thinks that his new wife is more important than him. And unfortunately his mom died when he was younger, so unlike you, he doesn't have a person in his life who does love him and care about him. So I would just be extremely grateful for your mom, who sounds like she does love you a lot and wants you so much. And unfortunately, until your dad grows up, it sounds like he's just kind of a negative person in your life, and it's on him. It's not on you at all. It's completely on him.
Yep.
And he needs to grow up, and you know what? This is also lessons for you on how not to be when you're a dad, or if you're ever a dad. So
Perfect.
Makes you stronger.
Do you wonder what Montana thinks?
I do. I can't reach them.
Hello. So basically, I'm just gonna say everything what everybody else said. Like, it does suck that your dad is immature about that, and I'm sorry, but you should value the people who love you. But if you really want to spend time with your dad, like, if you miss him that much, because however, like, immature he may be, he still is your dad. Maybe bring up something you both like to do so that he'll want to do it, and think of, and when he's doing that, he'll probably be happy. So think of him in, like that, like, when he's happy and both you guys are happy together in a good light. And then once he starts going back to the you're so ungrateful, you just don't really have to deal with it. I mean, it's not your fault.
Exactly. Keo?
Okay, it's working.
Jake were you saying Jake or were you saying Keo? Jake looks up like, don't make me talk. Keo.
Here's just a suggestion. Try maybe writing a letter to him and having it all written down, because I feel like when you talk to him, he kind of hears your tone and he hears different things that remind him of, like, your mom, and he feels like anything that's negative kind of that you're saying to him is somewhat coming from your mom. Write a letter and put in there that, like, my mom, like, isn't telling me to say any of this.
This is from my heart.
This is actually my thoughts, and I just want to spend time with you. And you, like, your emotions won't have to, like, matter so much about, like, how you say it when you're in the moment, because that can cause a lot of trouble.
And if someone can, like, really kind of send you off balance if they say something, but if you write it out, and Steve knows as a writer, you get a chance to make it perfect before you hit the send button. And that's one of the great things about writing, is that you really get to, I mean, when I was a kid, you actually had to start a new piece of paper if you made a mistake. But that was because of the IBM Selectric that didn't have the erase key. But now you get to just hit the backspace and try it again. It even corrects your spelling for you. I know there's a lot of hands up, but I want to move on to the next question and reset that Steve O'Donnell is our guest on the show, and that if any of you guys have any questions or favorite episodes of any of his programs or favorite top 10 lists, for that matter, or even like a question about the process of coming to 10. Like sometimes you have like 100, or sometimes you just have like 3, and how do I get to 10?
Well, I hear a comment very, very frequently, more than any other question, which is, why is number 1 not the funniest?
Oh, I know the
Rarely
answer
is
to that.
the
Has to do with comedic timing, right?
Well, usually they're blunt, and they should cause enough of a stir to just let the band play you out, and so you get out on a quick little punch. But usually, sometimes you don't have the luxury of having a lot of funny ones. 10 seem just about enough for some reason. I think it's because there was pre-existing top 10 lists, top 10 songs in the country, top 10 summer
place.
salad recipes, right, top
But
10
when you're-
grossing films.
But when you're writing them, do you sometimes have way too many, or do you sometimes have way too few?
Usually there's too many. That might be hard to believe when you watch the list and go, oh, I don't think that's the greatest. But that's just because it's subjective and decisions are being made. But and some subjects just bring out the vigor and volume in the writing staff.
Do you have a favorite? Because I have a favorite.
Well, I have not committed them to memory, but I will say I have one that is a favorite just circumstantially, because we'd been doing them for a couple of years, and we had done a list called there had been a mild airplane accident that afternoon at LaGuardia, I think, where a plane had gone down the runway and then just dropped in the water. No fatalities. It was called Flight 5050, and the list was top 10 pilot excuses.
Okay.
So you think, oh, they're going to be funny. As Letterman is about to go out for the monologue, he goes, Stephen, I don't think I can do this one. I mean, even if no one's dead, there's still, it's an accident. Can we do something else? Can you come up with something else? And I'm just going, I said, how about top 10 numbers between 1 and 10? And he went, okay. And there were still some surprises, but it would be like, number 10, 7, number 9, 2, number 8. And then there was like at number 3, it was like 5.5, and then so
good.
at 1 there was a tie.
I was praying for a fraction.
So there was a tie at number 1 between 9 and 4. Or something. So there was a little excitement, like when Barbara Streisand and Katharine Hepburn both won the Best Actress Oscar. Yeah.
The time, the best number.
My favorite was
Right up on the
top
mic.
10 my favorite was top 10 dog pickup lines. I don't
Okay.
know if you were there at that time.
I would say the dog ones always people get excited about, because there's just such a wealth of reference points, and they almost always, it's one of those things where you like the subject, you like dogs, so it's everything from drinking toilet water to fetching a stick and chewing on a rubber fake newspaper, the Daily Growl.
Well, my favorite was in the list of top 10 reasons why we're not winning more medals at the Winter Olympics. And it was probably number 3, because that's always the funniest, but it was thought we could rent skates when we got there.
Oh, it's genius. It's genius. Oh, no, you're right about number 3, though, because 2, you're hurrying to finish up.
Yeah.
3's your last chance to feel like it's wrapping up, but you'll learn all this at the Academy.
So we are Our Place Out Loud. I am Louise Palanker here with a panel of teenagers, and Steve O'Donnell, famous comedy writer. And have you ever thought of writing things like J.K. Rowling and changing your name to become a mystery novelist?
Well, how do you know I haven't if I change my
I
name?
don't know that. It's confounding.
I'll say that I have not. I have tried prose, narrative writing and so on. I do think I seem to be most effective in a frivolous, throwaway, superficial, flip nothing. So that's my strength.
I think I've read some articles you've written that
Oh,
were
well,
poignant with a ingestation
I have
of humor.
done some journalism. Yes, I've done travel pieces and some pieces for Rolling Stone and Life magazine, I got to do a piece about Bugs Bunny's 50th birthday. That
You
kind of thing.
love
But
the
even
Bugs.
then, it's frivolous, and I do love Bugs Bunny. I feel like he's the ultimate American. I think his character is our nation, our republic distilled into one gray rabbit.
Wow.
Plus, there's the Brooklyn accent, which you gotta love.
And so, what are the qualities that Bugs possesses that you admire so?
Well, I think he's self-reliant, self-contained. He has his little pleasures. He's not pretentious, and he's not aggressive and bullying. But when bullies bother him, he always rises to the occasion, and he rises to the occasion creatively, which I think is a model for people who want to take care of themselves and not be bullied, but not be a bully either.
I love it. That's perfect. All right, so our next question comes in from Jessica Loves Her Bestie. I'm 14, and I thought he liked me, so I told him I liked him back, but then he told me he was gay. Now he knows I liked him, so now if I sit beside him or anything, he gets up and moves. It hurts me. Advice in what to do / say when he does stuff like that. So the girl having the crush on the guy who turns out to be gay, pretty universal, nothing to be embarrassed about. He should be flattered, and it's his deal if he needs to get up and move away because he doesn't know how to handle women who find him attractive. You know what? In the world, boys are going to find you attractive, girls are going to find you attractive. You get to decide who you date, and there's no shame in finding someone attractive even if they're not interested in you romantically for whatever reason, sexual preference and being just one of them. So you've done nothing wrong. Thoughts? Rory.
I think she should invite him out shopping.
So that was good use of the town mic. Any other thoughts? I would say to the kid, like, calm down, mister. See, you think of stuff that you'd say as an adult that you'd never say as a mortified kid, Like, I'd never say, calm down, mister, to some kid that got up when I sat down next to him. Austin.
No.
It's okay. It still works.
Isn't that funny? Okay, well, I think that upon hearing that news, I think it's on him to say, oh, I'm sorry, but I don't swing that way, or something that means that. I think it's really rude to just get up and move and just not talk to her anymore. And I think for her sake, she should just not try to keep hanging out with him. I think he's going to have to come back and either apologize or to start talking to her again. I don't think there's anything else she really has to do.
Yeah, and I think it will happen on its own. And just the kid may or may not perceive it as rudeness. He may just be really awkward and not know what to do with the situation because it just hasn't come up enough yet. And usually by the time people are 18 or 25 or 30 or whatever, they kind of get it down like, oh, this is how this rolls. And so when someone likes me that I don't like for this reason or the other, you kind of change the subject, or you say, let's go get some froyo. I don't know. Olivia?
Okay, so this probably isn't what's happening, but I know that it happened to someone else. My guy friend once told a girl that he was gay when he was not because he wasn't interested, and he didn't know how to turn her down. So
that's one that's going to come back and bite you in the ass.
Yeah, that's why I was like, maybe
Though,
this kid's just getting...
Though a good plot for a half-hour sitcom.
Oh, hells yeah. Steve
did it
O'Donnell
on-
wheels churning. Every episode, I think.
Though I think Will actually was gay.
Yeah.
It turns out.
He said he was straight
for maybe half an episode. Kyo?
It's just an awkward situation, and I think the best thing to do when you feel awkward is make yourself not really care, which isn't the easiest thing. Saying is much easier than doing.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter whether the kid is gay or not. If he's getting up and moving, let him go.
Yeah, just be like, I don't care. And if you feel the need to say something, be like, you don't have to feel uncomfortable. I'm okay that you're like, I'm okay with that. You don't need to do that. And then, that's about as much as you can do, and that's even kind of going over what you should, feel responsible for.
Montana.
Have you ever seen Avenue Q with the If You Were Gay, That'd Be Okay song?
No, but I'm going to TiVo it immediately.
Okay, so it's this song about this guy who's like gay, and all his friends are like, if you were gay, that'd be okay, and he keeps denying it. But so if you ever feel awkward, you could always just sing that.
Yeah, is it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, let's all learn it.
But you have to get a lot of puppets, though. That might be expensive.
The puppets can be expensive, and a certain amount of training would be involved.
Yeah, you need choreographers. You need it's
you
a
need
lot
to
of
hide
work.
your face behind some sort of, so that the puppet appears to be talking.
Exactly. And think of the cost of the backdrop. I mean, it's a lot of work.
It's elaborate, but it would be effective. Now, as long as we're on the subject, Iceman, were there any theme songs that you have not yet performed tonight? Didn't we have an Our Place theme song that you were working on?
Yes, I do have one that I whipped up earlier today.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to sing along? I have an excellent backup vocalist.
If you somehow want to squeeze behind me and read over my shoulder, you are certainly welcome
I'll just
to.
hum or I'll ooh.
But actually, I got to find what piece of paper
And
it's
then
on, 'cause
eventually
I
I'll
have
learn it.
12,000, and we're running out of time, so let me do this very. Here we go. So, I wrote this today, so it goes a little something like this. Our place is a very, very, very safe place.
Safe place.
'Cause a teen's life can be hard.
So hard.
So please let down your guard and let our panel give advice to you. Oh, we're on the air, and you have the power of our place in your life today. Everybody. Thanks for joining in, guys. Appreciate it.
That was very beautiful. I'm
Thank
close to tears.
That's just the dust in the room, I think.
No, that was really nice, Iceman.
It might be O'Donnell's perfume. I'm not sure.
It's technically eau de cologne.
Eau de cologne. Well, he does smell delicious. Panda Cuddles, who wants to read his or her? It could be a guy's letter, on a gender, generalized.
I guess Olivia volunteered me to read.
Oh, because you have such an excellent speaking voice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Panda Cuddles. I'm really confused. My ex and I had an argument over Facebook, and he blocked me. I thought we hated each other, but all of a sudden, today at school, he started to be nice to me. The last lesson we had, I was going to sit on a table in the corner by myself, but then my ex came over to me and sat on my table opposite me. There was no one else.
What you have to do is you have to learn how to speak typo, and just keep on moving.
There was no one else on my table apart from me and him. We just talked like normal people and through the whole lesson. I don't know if I'm starting to have feelings for him. I'm really unsure, but I don't know why he's suddenly acting nice to me. Any ideas?
Well, it gets back to the awkward kid that got up and left when someone sat down next to him. It's like people don't always know how to behave, and they don't always know how to correct a situation, and they don't know how to just say, "Hey, I'm sorry." Maddie.
I was going to say I have two theories. I think either he feels sorry about being a little aggressive on Facebook, and he's kind of trying to make up for that, and so he's being more nice to kind of be apologetic about it.
Yeah.
Or actually, I didn't really have another theory.
No, I mean, it's all really good, and I love the way you kind of ground to a screeching halt, and it was all quite colorful. But the thing is, like, if you're online with someone and things become heated, stop typing. The internet or texting or Facebook is not a place for emotions, unless it's "I love you, good night." It's a place for communication. And once anything becomes heated, pick up a phone and talk to a person, because things only go from bad to worse if you're sniping at each other via typing.
And
Go
it's
ahead.
there forever.
And it's there forever. Do you have a song about that?
No.
Okay. Keo.
I would have a clarifying question. Did he ignore the argument you had, or did he address it?
Well, yeah, it sounds like he never brought it up. He blocked her from Facebook, and then he sat down at her table and chit-chatted her up.
Well, bring that up to him. I mean, talk about it.
But, like, she's scared. Like, if I bring it up, like, sometimes the person who wants things to come back to normal is so afraid of, like, confronting the issue, because that the boat is, like, barely, balanced in the water, and if I put my foot here, it will tip over again. And I think girls especially fall victim to that fear of not bringing up the thing that needs to be brought up. Austin, and then Montana, since you'll have the mics so close to each other.
I agree with Keo. She's just got to bring it up. It might eventually get less awkward over time, but it's going to be a while. And if she just addresses it, I think they'll be both much happier a lot faster.
I would just, pass him a note that just, like that just says unblock request? Montana.
Yeah, I think you should bring it up. I mean, like if you guys are in school in class and you ask him, he's not just gonna start screaming at you. That would look really bad on him. Like, why are you just screaming at her? But as for the if you don't know if he likes you thing, and you said he was talking to you just like, oh, I'm out of frame. He was talking to you just like a normal person. Maybe he felt apologetic about it, or maybe he was like, look back at the messages and was like, wow, that's terrible what I said.
And he blocked her on Facebook, so he must have been like really fuming, right?
I don't know how to block people on Facebook.
You just hover over their thing, and then you hover over and like.
Oh, okay.
And then you hit that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, obviously you're nice, or you'd be more angry at people and know how to block them.
And then
So
you
that's
write them on Twitter.
This is a good testament to your character that you don't even know how to unblock people in a rage.
Oh, thanks.
Maddie?
I just want to say, just because he's being nice to you, don't think that he's head over heels for you. Again, I guess.
Don't get carried away.
Yeah, don't get carried away, and I would wait a little bit before you just decide that officially you like him again, because it doesn't really work that way anyway. But still,
Yeah, it's hard to control your emotions. Olivia.
Well, the thing that I was going to say, you said pick up a phone and call them when things start to get heated online. What sucks about that is that the person's usually so mad that they won't answer the phone.
Oh, God.
And I've experienced this because freshman year, everyone got mad at me because I slept over at a friend's house, and they're like, we don't like her. And I was like, what? I didn't know that we all didn't like her. So everyone started, like, Facebook messaging me, and I'm the worst on Facebook anyway. Like, I'll try really hard, like, and keep up with the conversation, but, like, I'll close my computer and I'll forget that I'm in the middle of talking to someone.
It's a lot of pressure.
So then, they all got mad, and then I was like, I'm just going to call them because I don't understand what's happening. They're like, no, we're not answering your calls. And I'm just like, all right, well, that's good.
I see.
This was freshman year. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I'm exhausted. Poor you. Q.
If that happens, what I would do if things get heated is say, can I call you? Because I don't want to do this over message or over text.
Yeah, even don't let it get to a point. As soon as you sense it's like, oh, I don't know what they meant when they typed that. Just be like, let's talk tomorrow or something like that. Don't. Olivia, while we're on the subject of people typing while angry, could you give a little review of what's been going on in the app? Ian gave us another shout-out on Versagram, and the other thing was Jack Bo asked to be unblocked. So, I mean, both things were kind of a recipe for some toxic recipes of personalities, but people don't know how to walk away from an argument. And now we have a thing in the app where they get notified if someone responds in their thread. So their phones are buzzing, and then they're like, harumph! And they type something, and it just... And they will... they do this thing now where... they accuse everyone else of bullying them, even when they're the bully.
Yep.
So
I was targeted yesterday.
Yeah.
I literally laughed out loud when she's like, "You're the meanest ever," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm the meanest ever because I asked you not to have a conversation in the mod section, and I asked it just like that."
I read all of your posts back to Trish before the show to show her how calm you were, even when you were just kind of repeating the rules. They cannot walk away from an argument.
No, and they're like, who is this person? Is she an admin? I don't think she's an admin. She's just trying to do this. And I was just like, this is honestly hilarious on your part, but okay.
But they were so mean to each other, too.
Yeah, and then they were like, I think the name was Lucas Evans. They were like, Lucas Evans, you're a fake. I know you're a fake. You're the fakest fake ever. You're a fake. And then he was like, I'm not. I just don't have my real picture up because I don't put pictures of me on the internet. Sorry. They're like, that means you're a fake. And I was like, okay, that's not a real picture of you either, Haley Obey.
Yeah, so they were, it got really bad. And it was there were 99 posts in that one thread, and the whole section is supposed to be just to report a problem to the mods. It's not for them to be talking to each other back and forth.
And the one under that, there were 60-something posts.
Yeah, and so why is it that we can't, it's almost like gambling. Why can't you walk away from the table? Well, this is not good. Stop. Does Jakey have a point? Who are you pointing at? I don't know. I can't see you. He.
Pointing at me.
All right. You pick someone, Howard. I'm. Ryan.
I think part of the reason people can't walk away, the same way that you said it's like gambling, is because there's just that one sense that there might be a lot of gratification for getting the person to be like, okay, you're right. But it never happens. It's the same thing. You never win when you go to the casino.
Last word syndrome, let's call it.
Yeah, pretty much. And like I have that with my brother. I think siblings have it, but it's a lot harder, like especially over the internet, because you're not there. Like everyone brings it up. It's so easy to type something to someone instead of saying it to their face, and it's that type of thing. But like the way that Olivia was saying, like the people were saying you're not real, blah blah blah. I came across this Yahoo Answers question, which was it was a picture of the question, and it was, what's the weirdest rumor you've ever heard, or the stupidest rumor, or something like that. And there was a girl who heard at school a rumor about her that she didn't go to the school anymore, and it was spreading around school, and it even got told to her that she didn't go to school.
And she started
oh, you don't go here anymore.
It's the kind of thing where people will just, like, they just start saying things just to say it.
Just to say it. Q.
Yeah, something like that happened to me, actually, where, like, somebody was like, oh, yeah, you used to go out with this girl. I was like, no, that was my best friend. And they were like, no, I'm pretty sure that you... I was like, no. But I wanted to make sure that I said something about the question and how I said that you should bring up the argument you had over Facebook to this girl.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that, like, you don't have to be like angry, and you don't have to be like, why'd you block me, or like, do you
right.
Just try and be kind of calm and not too like aggressive. Like, I feel like we should talk about what happened and try and be calm and not
so
in
that
the mode
we don't
where you're
repeat this.
Yeah, exactly. Not in a mode where you're trying to start an argument.
But to learn from it.
Exactly.
Like, let's acknowledge what happened and let's learn from it. Liv.
Just like what Keo said, when my friends finally realized that they were just being idiots for not being my friend, for having another friend, we were on the bus on the way to school, and she just sat down next to me, and she was like, "Are we good?"
That is excellent. Who wants to read the last letter from activists? Because it's a pretty good one, and I think a lot of people can relate. Austin?
I'm really curious. I stopped getting crushes. I don't know why. Part of the reason is I don't want myself to something for a while. Is it weird I only like celebrities? Like, literally, my crushes are celebrities only. I mean, I already have one.
Celebrity crushes instead of real life crushes. Huh? Oh yeah, that's his crush. I'm for sure. But I didn't have crushes on real boys till like last year, I think. Ryan? I'm still pretty into Redford, so I get it.
I was just going to say that maybe the reason you're not having crushes is just because there's no one around you that you have a crush on. Like, that's always a possibility, is that you just don't really like the people that you're like the people that you're around in that sense. But I don't really know.
Celebrity crush, Steve?
I've never been a celebrity crush.
Besides me,
I actually
have
a possible thought on this letter. I wonder if the celebrity crushes and the former crushes weren't both based in a kind of irreality. That since the crushes on the actual three-dimensional people that were nearby this person, they fulfill just a sort of fantasy function, and you might as well have a celebrity as the person nearby. I don't think she's he or she is.
It's a boy.
Not. They just haven't reached the place yet where they're really going to fall for somebody in a meaningful way that has to do with the personality of the person. So.
Exactly. So what you're saying is that 12, 14, 15, it really doesn't matter who your crush is. The crush is really just teaching you what type of person you find interesting. And
yeah, it was a game before, and now it's a game with celebrities, and eventually it'll stop being a game. And
it'll be a real live girl. Go ahead, Q.
Maybe it's just because you're not really getting to know people, like girls, that well. And the girls that you are getting to know aren't girls that you would be interested in.
Right, but if he's like 14, it's not essential that he has a crush on a real girl
not
yet. He could be learning just as much by reading up on his celebrity crush, and then one day meeting a girl who's kind of like that, or reminds him of like those qualities, or has those kind of nice qualities.
Yeah, there's not like a plan of who you need to like and what type of people. I mean, it's all up to you.
Who's your celebrity crush, Roar?
Not LeBron James, Ryan. My celebrity crush is Rachel Weisz. She is very attractive, and Daniel Craig is a lucky man.
All right.
That's it.
Celebrity crush, Austin. Olivia's like, it's coming my way. The community mic.
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson. Nice
original.
choice.
I'm so original. I know. Yeah.
Yours is Emma Watson too. Oh my God.
Yours is Emma Watson. Nice.
Emma Watson. She's so great.
She's so cute. Olivia.
All right. I'm just gonna go with Aaron Carter, always and forever. AC has my heart.
No, because Aaron's party is the best party.
I'm gonna have to go with the YouTuber Leah Marie Johnson.
All right.
I
Kyo?
kind of forget what her name is.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton.
It's sort of key.
I think it's Belle. Kristen
Bell.
Yeah.
Good choice. Maddie?
Don't hate me. I don't really have one.
You don't need to have a celebrity crush. Steve O'Donnell?
Just say
celebrity
Shaq.
crush?
I kind of like the Flo, the funny insurance lady.
She's pretty sexy.
Yeah.
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 And saucy.
Yeah. Like
All right.
someone you really would have a crush on.
Yeah. My celebrity crush, well, I guess it's still Redford. I don't know. Some things don't have to change, right? Right, Iceman?
Yeah,
Have
I
you got
mean,
one?
I'm still into the Geico Gecko.
Absolutely
Everything
hot.
insurance
Let's end the
related.
show on that note.
We are Our Place Out Loud. I am Louise Palenque here with our guest Steve O'Donnell and the panel of wise and wonderful teens. We will see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Let's end the show on a Gecko.
It's coming back.
All right, look it up so you're not shocked when I do it.
Gotcha.
Or pretend you like it when I do it.